How are you going to survive without the food stamps? How are you going to survive without the benefits for the government? The answer is quite clear. When the government gave y'all these certain benefits to begin with, way back in the 80s, 70s, y'all literally waged war against your significant other.
So here's the reality. Black women did not kick black men out of the house in exchange for welfare. The reality is that black unemployment was more than half the national average during the 1960s, 48.8% in comparison to 18.3%. Black men faced systemic unemployment and black women were forced to go work and take care of their families. So welfare did not break black families. Systemic barriers like unemployment and poverty created a need for assistance.
Before you waged war on your significant other, you were surviving without these government assistance. How was you surviving? You survived by doing right by your man. Your man was taking care of everything. In return, you were simply just doing what your man wanted you to do.
The most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. And as Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to respect our women and to protect our women. And then the only time a Muslim really gets real violent is when someone goes to molest his woman. We will kill you for our woman. I'm making it plain, yes. We will kill you for our woman. We believe that if the white man will do whatever is necessary to see that his woman gets respect and protection, then you and I will never be recognized as men until we stand up like men.
So even before welfare existed, black women were working. They didn't have the luxury of staying home. During the Reconstruction era and Jim Crow, black women were working in kitchens, they were working in factories, they were working in fields, and then fast forward to being maids to well-off white families, often while having to raise children of their own and enduring systemic oppression. So let's talk about this idea that black men were handling everything. According to Brookings, black male unemployment was consistently twice as high as white male unemployment for decades. Many black men weren't able to access jobs due to systemic racism. So, meanwhile, black women were also working. In 1960, 38.1% of black women were employed compared to 63.8% of black men. So black women weren't just sitting back. They were actively contributing to their families while enduring discrimination and low wages.
Once they started doing this women's rights and everything and destroying the nuclear black family by going straight to our women and saying, hey, you don't need your man. We're going to come check your home and see if you got your man there or your baby daddy or your husband, whoever. If they're there, you can't get food stamps. You can't get government assistance. Remove your husband, remove your baby daddy, and we're going to give you assistance.
So the truth is that black families were not torn apart because of women's rights. They were torn apart by systemic forces like COINTELPRO. The FBI targeted black leaders and organizations to dismantle the structures that supported black families, and this was strategic. Then came the crack epidemic, which devastated black neighborhoods. Crack led to family breakdowns and skyrocketing incarceration rates for black men particularly, which took them out of the home.
Duh. Put your pride aside. Repair the black nuclear family. You don't need this damn assistance at all. I hope I made that make sense.
So, black women did not create the crack epidemic. They did not create mass incarceration, and they did not create systemic barriers to employment. These were the two challenges that black families faced, particularly black men, that broke up the black nuclear family. Telling black women to put aside their pride seems very anti-black, especially considering the black revolution during the 50s, 60s, and 70s was a time when we were uplifting black pride, and we definitely wanted black women and black men to be prideful in who they were. So, first of all, don't tell any black people to put aside their pride. But when you do that, you ignore the fact that many black men are openly rejecting the role of being a provider because they want a woman to be 50% responsible for all of the economic responsibilities. Not only that, they typically want the black women to be very domesticated and take care of all the domestic tasks alone. And also, they don't feel the need to be emotionally present or compassionate. So, I'm not speaking about all men. I know I got to be careful here because that's the first thing you're going to comment. But what I am saying is that this is becoming a very common trope that is happening specifically online. So here's the truth, man. Black women did not destroy the nuclear family. The real culprits were systemic racism, COINTELPRO, the crack epidemic, mass incarceration, etc. Instead of blaming black women, let's focus on fixing the real issues that continue to harm our communities and build together. We cannot talk about welfare assistance without discussing the unemployment rate and mass incarceration taking black men away from the community and the crack epidemic. We can't talk about women on Section 8 when the men are largely not present because of all of the systemic injustices that they're facing. And we have things like redlining and, abusive predatory home loans and things like that. So it's like we have to actually pay attention to what's happening and state the facts and not just regurgitate white supremacist talking points that have been used to attack the black community for generations.